they're showing it's like the thing you get good at is the thing that'll take you down. They had me listen to an old recording I'd put out about, it's like using the example of priests and cops, where they get confused as to why they started what they were started. And it's like the power overrides, or it's like they get exhausted, right? It's like, let's just use cops. So they go into it for the right reasons, to protect and to uphold the law and keep things in order. And they get really good at their job. And so they start to take this cop and put them in the, quote, troubled area, or area that there's a lot of crime, or there's whatever it is, because he's capable of being balanced, being fair, being true, not getting in his own way. So he's become what we would say a good cop, right? He's good at his job. But over time, the thing that you become very good at, if you're surrounded by that intense amount of a crime, right? Like if they keep putting him in places or situations or scenarios or that it's so much day in and day out, the thing that you're good at is the very thing that also can blind you, because you start to think it's the way it is, or you start to grow your own stereotypes or bias, or it's like you forget why you were doing what you were doing, because it becomes the norm. It becomes normalized. You become hardened to it. It's like you stop seeing people as people, or the dynamics. They were showing that with priests too. It's like you can lead a fish to water, but you can't make them drink, or lead a horse to water. That's funny. I said lead a fish to water, but you can't make them drink. Sorry, that was just funny to me. Anyway, so you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. And so, sorry, that's really funny to me. That might be another meaning about something else. Okay. And so it's like what the priests finally are just like, fuck it. They're idiots. They don't want to think on their own. They just want to do what they want to do, and they don't want to learn. They don't want to grow. So just they'll commit their crimes or their sins or whatever. They'll come in and say they're sorry. They're not sorry. They're sorry they got caught, or they think just by saying sorry, I'll wash them clean. Okay, here's your 5 Hail Marys. Go say your 5 Hail Marys. And so then they start to think, why bother? Why tell them the truth? Why have them open up their eyes? They don't want to open up their eyes. And then they start to play God, or they start to, just tell them whatever. Like you're no longer doing it for the right reasons. But we can all see or understand from these examples why they become hardened, or why they get frustrated, or why it's the idea of burnout, right? Doing it too long, or becoming too good. That was what they were originally showing, or becoming too good at what they do, that they're no longer challenged. Sorry. Maybe a different message than I thought. It's like showing that because they're no longer challenged, they turn into automatic robots. At once it was a challenge that they became good at, but then it's like too much, right? Realizing just as many as they helped, they couldn't help. And then maybe even more couldn't be helped than helped. So it became no longer, I guess, worth staying present or worth doing. I don't know. It's something along these lines where it's like they forgot the why. And it's almost like this feeling of like getting bored or getting frustrated or upset. Like it's no longer exciting. It's no longer challenging. It's no longer that same spark it once was. It no longer is the drive they once had when they first went into it. And it's something like this. And it's almost like I don't know that they can get that drive back. I don't know that they want that drive back. I don't know if they should have that drive back. In other words, once you see the ugly underbelly of things, right, because everything has two sides, sometimes what are you showing me? I don't know how to verbalize this. It's something about like, let the past lie. It's like that idea of chasing the dragon. It's like that idea of like, even if they recognized all these dynamics in themselves and then we're like, all right, I'm going to step away to, quote, recoup, rebalance, get it in check. But it's like all they've ever known is to be a priest or to be a cop. It's almost like they're like looking to have that spark again, to go back into the same thing that, I don't want to say damaged them, but like it took them as far as it could take them. It was time for them to step out prior to that burnout, but they didn't. And most don't. Most people don't. So that was the idea they were originally showing me. It's like the thing you love is the thing that'll also take you out. And they used a much nicer example before. They were doing more like TV series. They can go out on a high or not. But it's hard to determine that. It is hard for most people to stay that present at all times, to know when to leave. Most people eventually do go into autopilot and don't recognize it. They fall asleep into it. And then they wake up and they're like, how did I get here? How did I get here? I used to love this. This was my passion. What happened? Well, you fell asleep. You didn't give a fuck anymore. You got hardened to it. You ran into too many tough times or too many, quote, losses, right? Like they weren't wins. They weren't what you were, whatever. And so anyway, so they're showing this and they're showing this realization in people. And then they want to step away so they can rebalance and decide. But it's something right here they're trying to get me to see or verbalize about. Some people do need to do that. I guess if they do it soon enough before it gets to the ugly of what I described, it's like they can come back fresh and renewed. But sometimes they're not even meant to. It's meant to put them on their next right path. In other words, nothing wrong ever happened, but now it's leading you to another path, another avenue. But oftentimes people are so scared of going into that unknown, that new avenue. They only knew priesthood. They only knew cophood. That's all they knew. And so that's all it's like they don't want to expand or grow or challenge themselves, even though they technically were screaming for a new challenge. This is why they got bored. This is why they got their ego in the way. They became robotic. They got angry. They got negative. They got hardened to whatever they were doing. They've lost all passion and desire for it. It's no longer fueling them. It's now running them. And it's like, as much as, again, you can hear how it's like, well, then they hate it at that point, even though they probably wouldn't verbalize it as such. They've just succumbed to it. They've accepted it. They've settled into it. But that doesn't sound exciting. That doesn't sound fun. That does not sound lovely. That does not sound like a life I want to live. And so, but the alternative, because they're exhausted, right? Like that was what they have known, and it beat them down. It wore them out. To have to open up to a new avenue that they know nothing about seems exhausting and scary. And so most people don't take the leap. They don't ease into it. They don't allow for it. They have that one identity. They are a cop. They are a priest. They are whatever. And so to have to smash that identity, smash that ego, accept, I was going to say accept that failure, but it's not a failure. It's the closing of that chapter. But that's part of what they're showing me here. It's like people like look at it as a failure if they've burnt out, or they look at it like we put the wrong hinge or understanding in our mind when it's like that chapter is just done and the universe is pivoting you to remind you to wake back up, to live your life, to get happy again. If this no longer is fueling you and keeping you alive and excited and balanced and coming from your heart space so that you are offering your highest and best so you can give others your highest and best, then it's no longer for you. And so it's okay. So now you're gonna have a new identity. That was a new identity way back with the when, but remember when you were excited way back when you entered those fields? Don't you want to find that next thing that you have that same excitement for? because it seems scary because you don't know and you haven't found it yet, but you haven't given room or space for it because you're holding on to the old identity like a dog with a bone. It's something around all of this. And so it is funny or ironic that it's also the thing that usually does excite us or spark us is the new. It is the unfamiliar. It's the thing that does give us that spark, and then we're like, wait, what's that? And we want to learn more about it because it's new, it's challenging, it's something different. And so you want to find that to dive into, but you don't want to force it either, which I think a lot of us end up doing too. It's like we get tired of the wait, or we can't find exactly it, and so we grasp at straws. So all of that's a fine dance. I don't even know if I got out the message they wanted. I think it was the challenge thing, because usually they do show people build up and then they get disillusioned that they're God, right? It's like then they have so many people following them and thinking anything that they say is so profound that they're like, oh God, I'm genius, I'm so profound, right? Like it pumps up their ego and they forget to get their ego in check. And so then it's their ego that smashes them and crashes them. It's the story as old as time, right? Every time we get wiped out, right? This is because the ego was the dominant energy. So time for a reset. And so they're showing this next layer, this new understanding of this idea of like, stop looking at it like as bad or as failure or I want to say, or as difficult or hard, but like look at it like a challenge, as exciting, like, oh good, something new to dive into that I don't know, that I'm not familiar with, that I can't be robotic on. I can't be robotic because I don't know it to be robotic. So that's essentially what we're all always looking for. Thank you. That's what they wanted me to say. We're all always looking for something to challenge us, but that also excites us, that holds our attention. So if it's exciting and holds our attention, it's of interest to us, we'll stay engaged with it, even though we don't understand it or know it yet, even though we don't, but that's a good thing. We don't want to know it all. If we know it all, then we're no longer challenged. We get bored. We become disillusioned. We become robotic. We become hardened. We become stuck, stagnant, dead. So we really do want to be challenged. We really do want to be in the unknown. We really do not want to know it all. We really don't. It's that idea of you think you do. You think you're chasing that. You think that's what you want. You think that, quote, you'll be at peace then. But then that peace will quickly become your boredom and the death of you, right? It's the idea of like, you know how you'll see people that worked hard their entire lives and they couldn't wait to retire. And they even retired earlier than they thought they could because they had worked so hard and pushed so long, doing something they didn't even necessarily love or like at all. This was why the race to retirement, right? And then they retire, and what happens? They die within a month. They die within a year because they're like, this is it? I raced for this? This is what I raced for? Well, what now? What do you mean, what now? You wanted nothing. Here you go, nothing. Well, this is it? Yes, this is what you asked for, right? It's like, careful what you ask for. People think they know what they want. Then they get it and they're like, fuck. Right? Because really what you want is to be excited and delighted. You actually want the unknown. You actually do want something that will challenge you and keep you stimulated and happy and excited. But you have to find that thing that does that sparks you. And then it forces you to stay present. It forces you to be like a child with wonder. Wow, wait, what? And you want to learn more. It's exciting. It's that childlike wonder that keeps you present. It keeps you alive. It keeps you alert. Because as soon as you know it all or understand it all, or it becomes the same old, you start to turn in that robot. And when you start to turn into that robot, you then get into your ego. And then when you get into your ego, it gets too big and it smashes, right? It's like we can quickly roll that way. And so the idea is to always have your own check-in to make sure you are happy, that you're coming from the right heart space, that you are thriving, not surviving. And I guess it's like the idea of when you've learned enough, right? So like if you're doing something where you're like, okay, I have learned enough, I'm no longer excited. And of course, that can't be like just a bad day. You can't be like, well, I had a lousy day. I guess I've learned enough, right? Like, no, of course not, right? Like, but it's like you do want to recognize it sooner than later. In other words, you don't want to have 10 years of bad days before you're like, I think it's time to pivot, right? Like, let's hope you pivot sooner than that. But it's that awareness in oneself, because you're checking in with yourself often enough, that you love yourself enough that you're like, this doesn't feel good anymore. Is it just, I'm whining? Is there more for me to learn here? Is there more to challenge me here? Is this still exciting for me? Is this still growing me? Is this still interesting, curious? Is this, these kind of things, so that you keep growing, right? So that you keep living in the present moment, which is the present. It is that piece of the present, that indulgence of living in the here and now. You're not worried about the future and you're not worried about the past. You're so engulfed and excited in the present that it's just delicious and delightful. And then when you realize that starts to slip, you have to be careful with that too, right? Because it's not always going to be that fresh and new, but it should be what drives you, because hopefully you're in something that you can grow and expand forevermore. And when you can't, that's okay too, but that's also, it's like understanding these jumps, like when it's time, right? Like you've outgrown that, right? Like you've outgrown that field, you've outgrown that job, you've outgrown that location, you've outgrown that group, you've outgrown whatever it is where you're like, I still love it. It's not that it's bad. It's not that it's wrong. It's not that it's anything. It's that it's no longer challenging me. And so I'm no longer honoring it, right? It's like the idea of like an elephant being forced into a shoebox. No, that's not honoring the shoebox, and it's not honoring the elephant. It's not helping anybody here, right? Like it is what it is. It's okay. Don't look at it wrong or bad or anything else. It's just no longer a match. It's no longer a fit. It's okay. But we don't tend to do that. We do tend to like beat ourselves up or beat the other up or all that nonsense. But when we can see it this simply, right? To me, this is a simpler picture for you to see it. That it's like, oh right, why don't we just do that? Oh yeah, okay, right? Like, oh okay, right? And I'm laughing also because I recognize, me included, I'm never excluded from any of these, is that we also tend to get excited for that idea, get excited for being excited about something new, but then it's like almost holding your breath, waiting for that spark or that newness or that direction to come into play. And so it's like all of it's a fine line, all of it's a dance, all of it is a matter of practice, right? With going with the right flow, with getting in your right alignment, getting in your right state of mind, getting in the right heart space, so that you just keep moving from there and trusting and believing in yourself and pushing yourself, right? Like, there are times where we're going to have to stretch and grow, and it's really uncomfortable. So it's finding that dance in all of it, which, as I'm hearing my words out loud, I'm hearing how annoying that can be, because I know I've heard that so many times from different teachers. And when you're in a certain space, it's annoying to hear that, because you feel like you are attempting to stretch and grow, right? So it's back to just being gentle with yourself, trying to quiet down your mind, trying to reconnect to your heart space and open up to hear your guidance, not be your guidance, right? Like don't talk. Oh, that's a tough one to explain. You know how, I feel like it's a tough one to verbalize, but I feel like enough people have done it over the years that I hope everybody's caught up to speed with that. But it is that understanding of like, you are not your mind, right? And so you got to be careful when you go into meditation. A lot of people are just engaging with their mind, right? It's like, no, that's the whole point. You got to silence that down, and then you'll start to hear. Some people call it that inner voice. Some people call it God. Some people call it their guides. Some people call it their intuition. People have all types of names for it. But that does take time and practice and patience, right? I mean, we've talked about that so often, although I feel like I haven't talked about it in years, and maybe not even, maybe it was back in Mastering Me, those podcasts where there are years that I will meditate every day and get great clarity, alignment, everything. But then there'll also be days, weeks, months, years where I still will do the practice, like whatever practice, works for me. And I do switch up those practices, but my form of whatever I do to align with me. And I can't seem to get my balance, or I can't seem to get, whatever. And it's almost like that idea of creative spark or that inspiration, where sometimes we need to learn a lesson, we're being sat down, we're not seeing something, we're being tested on patience, we're being prepared for something else. It could be many things, but never, ever, ever, ever give up on yourself. And that's usually the hardest test is during those times, during those lulls, when we feel like we're not getting it, or it's not clicking, or things aren't whatever, is the time that eventually we all get frustrated and give up on ourselves or our dreams or our whatever. And it's like, oh no, that's the test. How much do you love you? What can you do to get realigned with you? What can you do? Maybe you do need to engage with your mind. Are you grappling with something that is keeping you at a tug of war in which you cannot hear your truth, your highest self, your inner knowing, your direct connection? Right? So maybe you do need to learn a course, or you need to learn a program, or you need to learn how to communicate better, or you need to learn meditation, or you need, sometimes we just need something else to distract us that'll unlock us. Okay, I am going into bAbBLE mode. I'll go on for 12 years with this. Thanks so much for tuning in and listening. You can now purchase an audio journey with me using the link below.